by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host Cody Tanner. Cody, how are you this fine Monday evening?
James, I'm doing fantastic, enjoying life, getting ready for a fun upcoming weekend. How are you doing, James?
Doing quite well. Had a fun wedding this weekend. Congratulations to Catherine and Justin Yezi. Catherine, formerly a dog camper, if that's a familiar name around these eerie parts to you folks.
Unfortunately, he's a Browns fan, but that we can let it slide for a weekend.
Yeah, he's a good guy though. You know, it's the worst thing you can say about him is he's a Browns fan. He's a pretty good dude.
Yeah. How are you? How are you?
Good, man. Good. Feeling good. Today's a good day so far. So
awesome.
We're going to hope for it to continue that way.
It will. We are going to talk about OTAs. We're going to talk about position battles. That is the main goal of today's podcast, today's episode. So James, OTAs are, I guess minicamp. OTAs are actually over.
The second round of OTAs are done now. So we've been hearing all kinds of rumors as to what's going on there. We're going to talk about that a little bit as we talk about the training camp battles. Also, training camp starts officially July 27th. Minicamp starts tomorrow. It's like a 3-day minicamp. So it gets a little bit more serious with minicamp as there's going to be some actual offense versus defense. No full-on collision. That's not allowed yet in minicamp, not until you get to training camp.
Nope, but it's called mini for a reason. It's a small version of training camp, but it is fast and furious, and there's a lot of things that they can get out of that. So that's very good.
Yeah, you start getting some 7-on-7, some 9-on-9, some more realistic stuff. Yep. Football and shells, at least. So
yeah, absolutely. But let's go ahead and start. We're gonna go like basically through how you would normally look at a roster. It goes, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, all this stuff. Fullback mixed in there. We're going to go over the entire training camp battles that we believe you need to watch out. Now, quarterback, we don't even need to talk about.
There's no battle. 1, 2, 3, and all are all set. Yeah.
Pretty
set in stone, pretty much.
Running backs, James.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a roster battle going on there. Obviously, positions 1 and 2 are in stone. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren. Couldn't be happier. It's the best 1-2 punch Pittsburgh's had at running back.
Thunder and lightning, they're calling them. Thunder and lightning.
Yeah, which is weird because Jalen Warren isn't necessarily all that fast, but I guess he's the smaller of the two.
It's like thunder and thunder.
It's like that's what I was thinking.
Thunder and mini thunder. Yeah. I don't know what you want to call it.
Thunder and boomstick. I don't know what you want to call them, but it's
thunder
like,
strike.
It's more
thunder strike. I don't know, something.
Yeah, it's more thunder and thunder. I agree. Yeah, but both of them are just quick enough.
Quake.
So. Yeah, right. Like the old tag teams. What was it? Tugboat and earthquake, the natural disasters.
I don't remember that one. I remember the only one. One of the only ones I remember was the Carolina Panthers when they had. I think it was D'Angelo Williams actually and Tolbert.
Yeah,
Mike Tolbert. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know what they called him, but that's like one of the first tandem wide like running backfields that I remember hearing about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Anthony McFarland is kind of the guy you'd expect to win job number 3, especially since we released Master Teague. I believe Master Teague was a very potential winner of that position, but now that he's gone, it's Anthony McFarland kind of fighting for that position himself against the rest of the guys on the team.
Yeah, the only one that really is a significant name to me is going to be Darius Hagans. He's the most recently signed guy. That's the 6 foot, almost 210 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that ran the 4.48 40, 26 reps on the bench. He's got a great college resume. He even has experience as a gunner on special teams. So I do believe that he's going to give Anthony McFarland a good fight, especially since I think he's a little bigger than Anthony McFarland, and that will go to his advantage.
Who are you looking at
on special teams?
Hagans?
Darius Hagans. Yes.
Yeah, Hagans is noticeably bigger than him compared to the 5'8", 193 frame on McFarland. He's 6 foot 210. So, a little bit bigger.
Yeah, a little stockier build to him, no doubt. So we'll see. Again, we're anxious to see these guys once it gets to the preseason games. But it's nice at least being so confident in the top 2.
Yeah. Oh, very much so.
Yeah, I always liked Benny Snell as a backup running back. I think I thought he even had potential as a possible starter when they drafted Najee Harris. But it became very clear last year that he was the distant third in comparison to Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, and wasn't really any reason to keep him around if there was any potential for him to get snaps somewhere else, because he was never going to get it in Pittsburgh behind those two.
Nope.
So he's the only kind of wild card. He's still a free agent out there. So if Pittsburgh doesn't like any of the guys here, maybe they bring him back on a veteran minimum. You never know.
You never know. Absolutely. Next position we're going to go over is fullback. Again, Connor Hayward is listed technically as a fullback. He's never actually played the position. And then Pittsburgh went out and signed an undrafted guy, Monte Potaboom. Potaboom. The guy, if you haven't seen pictures of him, looks like a weird combination of like Jack Lambert and I don't know, Jack Ham maybe. I don't know. He fits the role. He fits the mold of like a typical Pittsburgh Steeler, like hard-nosed, just guy that's going to go out there and sacrifice his body for a play.
They call him Monty the Mullet. He's just that traditional thick boy fullback.
He looks like a country boy. He looks like a country boy. He grew up on the farm. He was throwing hay bales.
He went to Iowa. Like this, he's a true fullback. This is a lead blocker. You know, go and find the middle linebacker and plant him on his ass, kind of
like Mike Allstott 2.0.
Yeah, except nowhere near as accomplished as a running back.
Mike Allstott ran a lot more.
Yeah, like a Dan Kreider type for any of those listening that are my age or older. Like
I remember him.
Really thick. Okay.
He was blocking for the bus back in the day.
He was number 35.
Yes, sir. I remember.
He was real thick.
He was.
Kreider was one heck of a blocker.
Now, we want to make sure to say with this that we do not believe Connor Hayward position on the team is at risk. He will be on the team no matter what. It's a matter of if he's going to be a starting fullback or not.
Yeah. Yeah, we believe that although this is technically a battle for the starting fullback on the team, that if Monty Potaboom looks incredible and there's no way you can keep him off the roster and he's got to be your blocking fullback, there's still situations that you're going to line up Connor Hayward and then throw the ball to him.
Yep.
There's still a role for Connor Hayward on the team because he is a very skilled football player and a skilled receiver of the football.
There's still chances he plays fullback position if you put him in there as a decoy and the team's going to think you're going to pass, then you run on him. Like he's capable of playing the role. And capable. When you line up in that capable of formation. Oh yeah. And I think he's capable of starting, but this guy could just be the real deal and could just be the fullback, the natural athletic fullback powerhouse that Pittsburgh could be looking for to get in front of Najee. Because half the time Najee's disability or inability, I should say, to make runs happen is he's getting hit in the backfield. Put a fullback there, he's taking that first hit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then maybe he can start having that first contact be on the other side of the line of scrimmage instead of behind it. That'd be nice. That would
be very nice.
So with that being said, the tight end position, we do feel the top three positions are a lock. Really the only wild card being whether they consider Connor Hayward as the fourth tight end if Potaboom gets onto the roster, or if they just keep three and Connor ends up the fullback or whatever. But we do expect Gentry to be virtually a lock on this team right now.
Yep.
Speaking of virtual locks, the offensive line, the top 8 are locks. Right, our starting 5 is basically set with Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo, Mason Cole, James Daniels, Chuks Okorafor, left to right. That's expected to be the starting offensive line unit. That being said, Dan Moore is going to make the team, whether he's the starting left tackle or he's the number one backup tackle.
Yep.
Kevin Dotson, same thing. He's going to make the team. Nick Herbig, they didn't go out and sign him for $4 million a year to not make the team. He's going to make the team. So the top 8 set in stone, but then it's a really kind of wide open thing. And the biggest name of all the next group being Kendrick Green, but also the biggest disappointment of the next group of guys.
100%.
So yeah, interior wise, you got Kendrick Green, and then Spencer Anderson. We can't forget about him, the 7th round draft pick.
Yep.
Versatility to play center, guard, and tackle. That might allow him to edge out Kendrick Green for that additional interior swingman kind of spot. Last year, we saw a little bit of William Dunkel at center in the preseason. Bigger, thicker dude. Wouldn't have the issues getting pushed back that Kendrick Green does also. So it's going to be a tough camp for Kendrick Green, but he's going to get an opportunity to prove himself. Offensive tackle 4 position also straight up in the open last year. They only kept 3 tackles.
And they
There's
very
no
well
guarantee
could
they're
only,
going to keep a 4th.
they very well could only keep 3.
Yeah, you would assume LaRaven Clark to be the favorite if they do keep a 4th. But there is also Jared Williams and Dylan Cook also. So there is a little bit of a battle going on there. And I feel like basically however many they're going to keep, they usually keep at least 9 offensive linemen. Yep. And right now, I have no clue who the 9th dude's going to be. None.
No, you have to assume, like you said, Kendrick Green's the biggest name. But again, this is the guy that we drafted so high overall and just came out and has not performed. How much do you want to continue to invest in a guy that's just not performing? Maybe give a younger guy another chance. And it's not like he's old, to clarify. He's only 24. But it's unfortunate that like you can't fix his arm length. You can't fix some of the things that are just happen to be the way that they are, unfortunately. But then James,
and if his 3rd preseason he's still getting pushed back the same as the first 2 years, then it's probably not fixable, and you might as well just move on.
Yeah. And James, you mentioned this before the show, and I'm going to kind of steal the thunder with it right now. This is probably the deepest roster we've had at offensive line since I've been a Steelers fan, for sure, and probably even since you have. The fact that there's 8 guys going to training camp that we know are going to make the team and could all potentially start if needed to is huge. And is going to help us a lot with, you think about just 2 or 3 years ago when we had got offensive linemen go down, we were screwed. I'm less worried. Don't get me wrong. I don't want anyone to get hurt. I know, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to get hurt, but I'm more like we're set for it. We're ready. We're prepared. So
yeah,
it's nice to have that in the background.
I don't know when the last time was we had a backup offensive tackle with a resume like Dan Moore, where he's actually looked pretty good at times. Yep. Yeah, he's been bad at times too. He had a lot of penalties last year. It was something like 9 or 10 penalties against him, and very similar number for Kevin Dotson, like 1 off. So like if one had 10, the other had 9, or vice versa, But they had very dominant moments as run blockers and good moments as pass blockers. So happy to have both of them as high quality backups at their positions with a lot of starting experience. And Nick Herbig being somebody that they thought so highly of that he was the first offensive lineman they brought in the offseason.
Yep.
So
excited
happy with the top 8.
Excited to see what happens with that 9th position, if they even keep 9. I'm assuming they will. They will. So we'll see what happens. Wide receiver, 1 through 4 are basically locks in mine and James's opinion. You got George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Calvin Austin the third, and Allen Robinson the third as well. Those guys are all locks. Then you got guys like Miles Boykin, Anthony Miller, Gunnar Olszewski, Cody White, Hakeem Butler, and Des Fitzpatrick. Des Fitzpatrick, a guy from Louisville just a few years ago you and I were talking highly of in the draft process. He's on the team. He's got to win a starting spot. I believe the guys here that have the best chance of making the team being Miles Boykin and probably Gunnar Olszewski, just for their special teams abilities. And Gunnar Olszewski's isn't nowhere near as high as it used to be with his muffing problem that he's had recently. So
yeah, absolutely. I think these guys need to prove that they can be gunners and jammers on special teams. And if any of them can prove any kind of return capability, that's going to help them immensely. Because right now it's a big question mark as to who the punt and kick return guys are going to be. Miles Boykin, like you said, excellent gunner on special teams.
Yep.
So I would say he's got the leg up of being the 5th wide receiver at this point.
Yep.
But after that, big question mark. Anthony Miller's a former 2nd round pick. Gunnar Olszewski at his best was a Pro Bowl level return guy. Hakeem Butler was a 4th round pick. Cody White's been a practice squad guy for years now. And Des Fitzpatrick, he was a draft pick of some sort, I believe, as well. So you've got some pedigree in these guys here and some skill level too. And I would love to see a fully healthy Anthony Miller, because I feel like if he goes through the entire preseason fully healthy, that he's probably going to run away with it.
Yeah, I would agree. Moving to the defensive side of the ball, James, let's talk about nose tackle.
Yes. Yeah, I think that the nose tackle 2 position is what we're looking at here. Both of us believe Keanu Benton will easily win the starting job at nose tackle. Hopefully, it doesn't take all preseason for them to see that, but I do believe it's going to happen for sure. Um, Montravius Adams versus Braden Fajoko is what I'm looking at as the nose tackle battle. I believe the rest of the guys on the roster are a little more defensive end type that could play D tackle in the nickel situation, but not true nose tackles. And Pittsburgh likes to keep at least two of those.
Yep.
So that's what you're looking at on the battle. I feel like Montravius Adams last year was very okay and had a few moments where he just kind of got washed away. Never really had any moments of excelling at all. Braden Fajoko seems to be a little bit thicker of a dude, and I won't be surprised if he wins that battle for that spot. Also, that'll save him like $1 million in salary cap space. So don't let that be an undersold part of it. Same thing with Gunnar Olszewski. If he doesn't make the roster, they're going to save like $1 million. So
yeah,
those kind of things could play into it, especially when you still don't know what's going on with the Alex Highsmith extension, which is expected to be very soon. And the rumor is that it's in the works. You know, it's happening. So you might need to free up a couple extra $1 million, and it's easy to do. If two guys are that close as far as the skill level, man, keep the cheaper dude.
Yep, 100%. Defensive end, we believe the first three are locks, so there's a battle for defensive end 4. The two biggest names that pop out here are Isaiah Loudermilk, who again is a guy that I don't want to see Pittsburgh give up on yet.
Me either.
I'm excited to see what he has to offer. He's only been in the league, 3 years. And then the other guy is Armand Watts. The benefit of him coming on the team is it's kind of like having another Watt, but there's just more of them. It's plural. Watts.
It's plural.
Yeah, that's about it. Again,
yeah.
I'll admit I'm biased to Isaiah Loudermilk because with his draft process was very excited. You know, we traded back into the 5th round a few years ago to pick him up. So you got to imagine they saw something, and I'd like to see what they saw play out on the field. So we'll see what happens with that one.
And they traded away a future 4th to get that pick in the 5th round. So you really want to see it pan off. And I don't know that any of us ever, saw that draft pick in the 5th round and said, oh my God, this is the next Cam Hayward. But we would love to see a high quality backup defensive lineman going into year 3. He's really got to prove it.
Yep.
Especially against the run. He needs to be at this point at his big boy strength. He needs to be a guy that's not easily moved, that can do a little bit of stack and shed and get some of those ball carriers to the ground right at the line of scrimmage, or maybe even behind the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
I'm with Cody on this one. I really want to see Isaiah Loudermilk win this. I like what I've seen of Armand Watts on tape. It looks like he's got a little bit of pass rush ability, which may give him an edge in this competition because they are looking for guys that can get after the quarterback. But I feel like this is not a project they're willing to give up on quite yet. And if he can show some improvement from last year, I think he's going to get that 4th spot. But in case we didn't make it crystal clear, the top 3, Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, the Marvin Leal. So those are your locks at the position.
Larry Ogunjobi.
Yeah, Larry, they're saying, looks like an absolute beast so far.
Interesting.
He was playing on 1 foot half the year last year, so.
That's fair. That is fair. Next position is going to be the outside linebacker position. We believe the top 4. No, excuse me.
Top 4.
Top 4?
Yeah, top 4 basically locks, man.
Cam, you have TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith.
Yeah.
Golden, Marcus Golden, and Herbig.
Nick Herbig. Yeah. A 4th round pick, you're not cutting him.
Nope.
Like the dude led all of college football in sacks last year. Like he's a skilled pass rusher whose biggest limitation is his arm length. So if we're looking at that being the only thing, and he's a pretty athletic dude, he showed pretty good measurables as far as his jumping capability and change direction and strength and all that stuff really showed well. He's going to make the roster because even if for some reason, let's say he just stinks it up at outside linebacker, they're going to give him a shot to move the middle linebacker. They're not going to cut him. So I really do feel like those top 4 positions are completely locked in. But that being said, Marcus Golden is a 32-year-old backup outside linebacker. They're not going to ask him to play special teams. they expect their backup outside linebackers to play special teams. So I think it's highly likely that a fifth outside linebacker is kept, which is where Quincy Roche gets his opportunity to shine. And then some of these other younger guys, some undrafted guys, is going to give them some competition, like the David Perales, some of those kind of guys.
Yeah, and if you're like, hey, now these guys are going to push him, that's what everyone thought about Jalen Warren as an undrafted guy, and he's now the second string running back on the team. So, and there's no competition for it. Yep, no.
And they kept 2 fullbacks that year because Rosie Nix was so good on special teams they couldn't keep him off the team.
Yep. Middle linebacker 2 through 4 are basically up for debate, and it's mostly due to scheming. I think there's a lot of these guys that we expect to make the roster, but it's just a matter of how they're going to be schemed into it. Like I believe that Mark Robinson's going to be on the team. I believe that Landon Roberts is going to be on the team. You could make the argument that Tanner, I think they're going to keep 4 middle linebackers.
Yeah, they always keep at least 4, sometimes 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And I think Tanner Muse is dang near a lock too.
I believe they're all locks. It's just schemes. It's just schemes.
Yeah. The order is completely up for grabs. I think Cole Holcomb is a slam dunk #1 middle linebacker, but our defense you run 2 on every play.
And sometimes it's a safety depending on the situation. So
yeah, we got a feeling that what we're going to see some of this year, and just to be a little transparent before we get to the safety position, is that on those like 3rd and long situations, they're probably just going to move Keanu Neal to middle linebacker next to Cole Holcomb, unless these other guys look like they're really good throughout the season as pass specialists, and then you just let it play out so that they can be there all the time. But you just let DeMonte KZ play safety on one side opposite of Minka. You move Keanu Neal down into middle linebacker next to Cole Holcomb. He's played that previously.
Yep.
That gives you probably your best case scenario in those coverage situations, and somebody that can do it and has done it. Just Keanu Neal's not the greatest against the pass. But as a middle linebacker would be a better option than maybe an Landon Roberts, who's completely lost in space when it comes to going against the pass. So
yeah, not ideal at all.
No.
So there's a lot of things that could happen there. Again, some of the safeties that they might keep might have to do with the multi-positional ability and stuff like that. So we'll get to that later, like you said. Cornerbacks, James, we believe 1, 2, and 3 are locks. I personally believe 4.
I want 4 to be a lock in the worst way.
I know.
I just don't. I don't want to call a 7th round guy a roster lock.
That's fair.
Like I feel like history has shown us that it's not a good decision to call that guy a lock. That being said, I have not been shy about really liking Corey Trice from the draft selection on through everything we've heard about him, to him having a day in training camp there where he had 3 pass breakups and a pick all in one day. The kid is basically everything they're looking for in an outside cornerback. So Levi Wallace, Patrick Peterson, Joey Porter Jr., those are our 3 locks. I'm sure you knew exactly who we're talking about on this. Corey Trice, we were both hoping to be lock number 4. Past that, then you got James Pierre, Shandon Sullivan, Duke Dawson, and then a slew of other guys with random amounts of experience. They almost always keep at least 6 corners. This year might be a little funky because some of these guys might be classified as a safety, but also play slot corner.
Weird.
So that's kind of who we're looking at on there. You think that James Pierre would kind of have an edge with his experience as a gunner. He's a pretty good one.
Yep.
So he might have an opportunity there. Shandon Sullivan was literally brought in to be the slot corner. Patrick Peterson's been getting a lot of practice at slot corner. If I had to guess right now, I'd go Trice, Pierre, Sullivan, Duke Dawson on the outside looking in. But Duke Dawson's a former 2nd round pick who has played a lot of slot corner. So you just don't know how this is going to play out. It's nice to have options. We'll put it that way.
It is. It's very nice to have options. And you never know. This could be a weird year where they keep one less at another position to keep one more. Like they do that from time to time. They'll keep a less offensive lineman or a defensive lineman to do this or that. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do. The fact that we're going to be keeping either a 4th tight end or potentially a 2nd fullback is interesting with the fullback battle there. But I'm excited to see what they do. And I do believe that Corey Trice is a lock, at least for the start of the year. I'm not saying he's a lock number 4. There's a chance he could drop in the depth chart, but I think he's a lock for the 55 or 53 man roster, I should say.
Yeah. I'll put him on my prediction when the time comes. That's for sure.
Exactly. Safety battles. 1, 2, and 3. James and I both believe are locked. Minka Fitzpatrick, DeMonte KZ, and Keanu Neal. One with the Minka's self-explanatory. KZ with the ability to play different positions. Neal with the ability to play different positions. And quite frankly, KZ played very, very well last year when he played. And he wasn't a weak spot on the defense, which is what you've seen a lot out of these other safeties that aren't named Fitzpatrick's on the Steelers team recently. So it was nice to get that production from him for sure.
Yeah, literally the only bad thing anybody can say about DeMonte KZ is his size. Like on the field, he's an excellent football player. He's a great safety. He's great in coverage. He's got good instincts. He hits people hard for how small he is, man. And that might be part of why he ends up getting injured for being such a small dude. And that's the only reason that it's like, man, I wish he was 20 pounds heavier and 2 inches taller, because then I'd just say start him at strong safety and Keanu Neal's your backup and let's just be over it. But the lack of size is what I'm concerned about. But I think in these passing situations, you're not worried about your strong safety, if you want to call it that, being that typical 210 to 220 pound dude. It's okay if he's 185 pounds because you're just back there trying to break up passes.
Yep.
You're just trying to pick the ball off, and you need to be quick and you need to know where to be. And DeMonte KZ is all those things. So I love him for coverage. That's the number one thing you want a safety to be able to do well anyway.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. But the 4th through question mark is what we're calling it. Whether it be Trey Norwood, Miles Killebrew, Elijah Riley, Kenny Robinson. A lot of versatility in this crew. Trey Norwood is a pretty decent slot corner.
Miles Killebrew is a phenomenal punt blocker.
Yeah. Not last year, but the year before.
Not blocking for the punt, but blocking a punt. Let's clarify.
Actually blocked 2 in one season. It was like the first time in Steelers history that somebody had done that.
Yeah.
And then you get to Elijah Riley, a true safety who looked really good in that final preseason game last year.
Yep.
Didn't get much of a chance to show it during the regular season, but apparently has been getting a lot of reps at nickel corner in this preseason process so far, and has looked pretty good doing so. So again, looking forward to seeing some actual footage of this. Looking forward to seeing him in games. I want someone to take over this spot. I feel like the number 4 and 5 safety spots have been kind of place fillers. Like Miles Killebrew is not a very good safety.
No.
Trey Norwood last year was a bad safety.
Yep.
Like I want the number 4 guy to be somebody who has actual capability and can be a decent safety.
Believe they want the number 4 guy to be a guy that can come in and play slot corner if they need it. That's what I feel like, which is very unfortunate, but
yeah. Well, and you know what? If that's what it ends up being, but the guy is actually an upgraded safety too, I'm okay with it, man. I'm a big fan of seeing some capability out of Elijah Riley and seeing him get used this preseason. I think that there's potential there. And he's young still too. Kenny Robinson, a young dude too, right there, Cody, only like 24 years old.
Yeah,
6'2",
24, 25
pounds.
years old, came from West Virginia. Just saying.
So probably no good.
Yeah, probably. Whatever. So the last position we're going to talk about,
West Virginia. It's okay.
I don't love West Virginia. I love a lady in West Virginia. That's beside the point. The last position we're talking about, because there's no Boz for president. He's the kicker. He's the Christian Cooch is the long snapper, just the way it is.
There isn't even another long snapper on the team right now.
Mike Tomlin is your coach, guys. There's no competition there in training camp, just so you're aware.
No.
Punter position, Presley Harvin III. They did bring in a multiple Pro Bowler, if I'm not mistaken. No Pro Bowler?
No.
Really? I could have swore he had one. Anyways.
No. But he's slightly better than Presley Harvin III by the numbers.
By the numbers. He is older, but Brandon Mann, guy coming in that's going to at least push Presley Harvin to be better is what we want. Minimum.
Yeah, this is going to be best man wins. Another guy with experience kicking in cold weather, as he was coming from the Jets most recently. So you're not going to have to worry about, can he handle kicking in Pittsburgh? He can handle it. He's done a similar thing up there in New York. They moved on from him. They weren't happy with his services. But when you looked at like the net yards per punt, the average yards, that sort of thing, he did average better numbers than Presley Harvin the last couple of years. So it is good competition for Presley Harvin. I want Presley Harvin to be an awesome punter in the worst way. He's just been so doggone inconsistent. This is not me bashing him. This is me saying, man, he's got a thunderous leg. If he could just stay consistent with it, he could be a top 5 punter in the NFL. But in his first 2 seasons, he's been very inconsistent, unfortunately.
And I knew I was thinking of something about it. It was not NFL awards. It was the college award.
Was he a Ray Guy winner?
He was the Ray Guy winner. So
yeah,
best college.
Yeah, I think Presley Harvin was a Ray Guy dude also.
That doesn't surprise me.
So, yeah, they usually do that. Pittsburgh usually brings in Ray Guy winners.
I mean, it's not a bad decision, you know.
No,
you could bring in all Heisman Trophy winners. That'd be pretty good. Well, you know what? Some of them have just been bad.
We're not some Fred Biletnikoff winners.
There you go. There you go.
Shout out Erie.
Shout out Erie. Exactly. I don't know what happened here real quick. Hang on 1 second.
Somebody turned off Cody's lights. What the heck?
There we go. We fixed it. Don't worry. We're back. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with the punter battle. I think that'll be exciting to see. And I think that again, at the worst, Brandon Mann is going to push him to be better. Presley Harvin to be better. Yeah. So with that being said, that's going to wrap up today's show. James, anything you want to add?
Nothing too crazy. Looking forward to the next couple weeks here. We're going to give you a breakdown of what we hear on minicamp next week, because that'll be fully wrapped up. It's Tuesday through Thursday this week. Also, don't forget to give us those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts or any platform. Don't care if you even do it on our Facebook page and give us a 5-star review there too.
Absolutely.
Been a while since any of our friends have hooked us up there. Shout out to the listeners in Germany too. Seeing a strong push in Germany again recently. So appreciate you guys.
Awesome. So again, we can't thank you guys enough for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, again, be sure to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe and ring the bell. It's free. And until next time, this is your host, James and Cody, signing off.
Peace.